Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Overrule Podcast, brought to you by the Scott McNair Law Firm. Before we get to our very interesting and incredible guest today, I was just told by the wonderful people who run our podcast, our marketing team behind the cameras, and who does all the video editing that y'all see both online and in our promotion of different episodes, that this Saturday will be a year of our first episode dropping. We've shot a little bit over 30 shows now, and so just wanted to thank you all for listening along as we kind of learn and go upon this journey of shooting that podcast. Lots of great content and episodes to come, especially in consideration of that, our guest today. We are lucky and honored to have both Owen and Robert, who are the two team managers for one of the, I would say, better teams in the Hogs for the Cause competition, Swine Krewe. And I'm excited to talk to both Owen and Robert about their journey into Hogs for the Cause, what Hogs for the Cause does, and tell us a little bit more about Swine Krewe. Owen and Robert, welcome to the Overall Podcast. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
All right, so for those who do not know, will y'all please tell us a little bit about what Hogs for the Cause does?
Sure. Hogs for the Cause is a charity that raises money for families with children suffering from pediatric brain cancer. Unlike a lot of healthcare-oriented charities, they don't pay for the treatment itself. They focus on the ancillary costs associated with treatment. So when your child is diagnosed with pediatric brain cancer, you often have to travel to a city far away to get your child treatment. You may or your spouse may have to quit their job and stay with your child as they're getting treatment. And so Hogs helps with all of these different expenses. There's two main ways that they use their money, I would say. The first is direct grants to these families. So a family might say, hey, my child's, we're from New York State, our child's undergoing treatment in Seattle, can you help us with this? And Hogs will step in and give them a direct grant to help with their food and lodging and travel expenses for that. The other way that Hogs helps is they help to fund pediatric oncology units across the country, and they build what's called Hogs houses, which are long-term stay houses for families with children getting treatment. So we have one here at Children's. We have another one at Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge that just opened up last month and is already fully occupied. And another one is opening outside of Greenville, South Carolina, in the next year or two as well. To date, Hogs has dispersed $2.3 million in direct grants to families and $8.9 million to hospitals, pediatric oncology units, and to fund Hogs houses.
That's incredible, and it's such an incredible cause for children who are dealing with and families dealing with entirely terrible situations, right, with pediatric brain cancer. Can you tell us a little bit about how Swine Krewe was formed and a little bit about the members and how long that team has been active in the organization itself?
Sure. So Swine Krewe was founded about 2011. It was a bunch of very like-minded, philanthropic barbecue enthusiasts. And it was a group of people who felt like they could really make a difference in this area. It started small, but it's gotten pretty big. And over the years, Swine Krewe has won the award twice for raising the most money at the festival. They've won the Pork Paris competition, which is the Anything Goes competition, 4 times. And last but not least, they've won Grand Champion twice, which is, that's something. That's not easy to do. But we're almost exclusively comprised of home cooks who are, well, we kind of dabble in high-end barbecue and high-end cuisine. We're one of the largest teams in terms of numbers out there. We have over 60 members.
Now, tell us a little bit when you say Grand Champion, is that the champion of the big, like the Taste Award for the entire competition? How competitive is that?
Well, it's extremely competitive. First of all, you have to raise enough money to even qualify. And I think that's a $20,000 threshold. We usually raise 3 times that, at least.
Oh, wow.
You then have to place the highest in the ribs category, the pork shoulder category, the whole hog category, and the pork puree category. And whoever ranks the highest across all those 4 money spots, is what they're essentially called, becomes the grand champion. And it's not easy to do.
Now, you say that y'all are a bunch of home cooks, but I know for sure that y'all have some professional and really well-trained cooks right involved with the team. And I was blown away that being there last year, learning some of the teams like bring the hogs in from a specific area where the hog was only fed certain foods. Can you tell us a little bit about that process, like sourcing the hog and how serious the kitchen is?
Well, we're one of those teams. We bring our hog is usually an Ossabaw hog, which is from Ossabaw Island off of the coast of Georgia. It is one of the original breeds of pigs that were brought in by the Spanish in the 1600s. It's never been crossbred with any other species, and it essentially lives off of nuts and roots and all the good stuff, and it really has a great life until that one day when it gets the bad news.
How do y'all set so the fundraising number you mentioned, y'all have typically always surpassed that 20,000 minimum, and what are the goals for y'all to raise this year, and how do you get some of the team members incentivized into reaching those goals from a fundraising perspective? Because like being out to the event, I'm sure a lot of our listeners go to it, right? It's a ton of fun. It's a great music, great food, great drinks. Like everybody loves being out there, but really the cause is to raise money for this incredibly worthwhile cause. So like how do you incentivize the team members to raise, and what are some of the goals that y'all set for y'all particular team this year?
So last year our total fundraising was $60,000. We're aiming to beat that this year. We'd like to get to 70 or 80. In order to incentivize team members, I mean, you really just you email them, you call them, you talk to them about the cause, you try to relate to them, and we've had a number of people say, okay, I'm going to go out to all my friends and family and businesses that I know, basically anybody, and I'm going to get them to donate. And that's how we do it. And sponsorships with businesses play a huge role in our total fundraising amount.
How many, do you know off the top of your head, how much money was raised last year combined in the entire event? It was a significant amount, right?
Yes, it was $4 million?
3.6.
3.6 million last year.
Just from last year. That's incredible. And a very large percentage of that, I know, goes to building the different housing facilities that the organization has created to house families free of charge, right, for dealing with this terrible situation when their kids have cancer. But for each of you, can you maybe talk a little bit about your personal whys for getting involved in the organization? Because, and maybe we need to go backwards. I mean, the teams, we're not talking about a small little tent, right? And like cooking like some barbecue. Like this is a serious operation that each team has in these massive tents and massive kitchens in the back. Like it's a serious commitment that you guys make running Swine Krewe and running each of these teams. So what are some of each of your whys for being involved?
Well, I'll explain why I'm involved and why I got involved. But I want to go back to your statement a second ago where you said it's not just, a tent on the levee cooking a hog.
Right.
Because that's
it's not like a chili cook-off with a couple of guys making a chili under a pop-up tent.
But here's the thing. That's how it started. It started with Renee and Becker wanting to cook a hog. And I believe it was Renee that said, hey, my friend's kid is suffering from pediatric brain cancer. And we should do this hog, but we should also make it a fundraiser. And I believe that was 2011 was the second year, 2010 was the first year, and so that was the year before.
2009.
So it was 2009 when this happened, and that's exactly what it was. It was up on the fly. They pitched a little 10 by 10 tent. They cooked a hog up there, had all their friends, and bought a keg of beer and just hung out and raised some money.
They raised like $7,000 that year, and now look where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that they started that and raised $7,000 or $8,000, and 14 years later, it's raising $3.6 million to such an incredible cause. So, like most things, it takes a entire organization and team of committed people who want to do the right thing and achieve the goal, right? And so, for the event at large, it needs people like each of you to run a truly successful team that all together can make the event a success. So, what are y'all whys for getting involved?
So I graduated college in 2013. I joined that year. I joined because honestly, my family was involved in it. They were heavily involved in helping to set up, and then the cooking portion as well. And to be honest, when I first joined, that was my reason. It wasn't for the fundraising aspect of it. I was 22. I was just looking to have a good time, have a fun weekend. I would say over the past 10 or this will be 11 years that I've been a part of it. The cause has really grown on me. And there's one point in particular. So I've ran Swine Krewe now. I took over from the founders of Swine Krewe. This will be my third year running the team. And the first year, there was a really pivotal point in it. Every Hogs, there is a team captains meeting on Friday around 11 a.m. And you go there with all the other team captains and other people on the team that are heavily involved, the head chef. And it's a lot of logistics stuff. It's giving you your, talking who's involved in what, who's turning in what, here are your containers and everything. But they always close it out each year with a keynote speaker. And that keynote speaker is generally a family who has benefited from a Hogs grant. And the year I took over, they had a couple there with their daughter who has now since passed. And they told their story, and they talked about how hard it was and the challenges they faced. And I'm about to tear up right now, but I cried during that meeting. I just started crying, and I remember just looking around me, and the 150 other grown men that were in that tent were also just sobbing, and that really made an impact on me. I remember walking out of that tent after, and we had just had our first kid, and I called my wife and I just told her about it. I'm like, this hit me, this is hard. And since that meeting, I have really started to push fundraising because what Hogs does is just so meaningful to these families.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, and it's almost like I do want to know what y'all think makes Hogs for the Cause unique, but I also want to give you my perspective on it briefly. There's so many charitable organizations out there, right, and good ones, and so I think unique about your story and explaining how that touched you is like when you find one that you truly feel is making a difference, and it's not there because of somebody's ego or why they're doing it, or that the administrative costs are taking away all the money that's actually donated. And I've felt that way initially years ago, and why I've gotten so involved in Volunteers of America, because I've seen the different aspects of what they do in our local community here in New Orleans. And when I was out at Hogs last year, I just immediately felt it and knew it. I didn't need anybody to tell it to me. Like, I could just see it, and the more and more I researched about it, I knew it and knew I wanted to be more involved. And for y'all, can you tell our listeners a little bit, at least from your perspective, what makes Hogs unique? What makes Hogs different in respect to the charitable giving and fundraising it's doing?
I think it's the fact that, it is the fact that these dollars go either directly to helping families. I mean, direct grants. These families get a check in the mail, and it's their relief. I heard a story the other day about a family who was spending $5,000 out of pocket per month on treatment, and that doesn't include their travel and lodging, and one of the spouses quitting their job to be with this child. And so I think the money goes directly to these families, either through the direct check in their mailbox or through these Hogs houses where they can stay for free. So it's not that there's anything wrong with organizations that raise money for research and things like that, but it's just such more of a direct impact on families' lives. And
in our local communities, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
That's a key difference. It's not like not that there'd be anything wrong with that either, but from my understanding, none of the money that y'all raise, which is now millions upon millions of dollars every year, is going outside of Louisiana. Is that wrong?
It does. It does go across the United States. Louisiana is still the biggest beneficiary of Hogs funds. I think $6.5 million of what Hogs has funded has been in Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, so far both of our residential treatment facilities are in Louisiana, and that's you're talking probably 60 plus families that are being served at any given time and being supported by Hogs, both in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And some people travel here just for that purpose, to have that opportunity. I think there's a wait list to be housed at these facilities. It's essentially these kids get, rather than living in a hospital room, they get to live in essentially a condo, right? And the parents can cook dinner. It can be as normal can be given cancer treatment, which is really one of the, I guess, most special parts of it to me, is that these kids are just looking for some sense of normalcy, and Hogs is really good at providing that. In addition to all the grants and in addition to all the money, they provide essentially a transitory home for these kids who are, in the fight of their lives.
Yeah, that's incredible. What, as far as, I have egg on my face, I didn't know that there actually was money that y'all were sending out of the state. Is it some of this, has the event gotten so big that now some of the money is being sent to other states and areas to develop some of the same systems that y'all put in place in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, or where is it going out of state?
That's right. So they're currently building, I believe it just broke ground, Hogs House in Greenville, South Carolina. And then they also send direct grants to families out of state as well. But a vast majority of the money stays here in Louisiana and benefits Louisianians.
I gotta believe too, what you had just said. It's like anybody who's had a family member or not even a kid, right? Family member who's been in the hospital understands the irregularity of trying to deal with whatever it is medically they're dealing with and sleeping in a chair and shuttling to and back from the hospital. And so when it's such a difficult situation with children dealing with this terrible disease, to be able to do what y'all doing and like just put it as you synthesize it, like have a somewhat normal as possible living experience and environment is really incredible. I do want to shift gears a little bit and ask y'all a little bit maybe lighthearted. What are some of the favorite dishes that Swine Krewe has done over the years that come to y'all mind?
We have a member named Rachel Stickney who has, over the years, made a pork puree winning dish. It's won 3 times, I think, with her.
Well, Rachel's won 4 times.
She's won it 4 times, but she makes a bacon macaron. And it's essentially bacon turned into a flour, added to Steen's cane syrup, buttercream, into the cookies. And in the middle is some sweetened and whipped mascarpone with chunked bacon in the middle. And it's decorated to look like a pig.
It sounds terrible.
It's delicious.
It doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm obviously being heavily sarcastic.
Yeah, it's
like
really good.
I ate lunch like an hour ago, and I'm still.
We saw those immediately. Our best-selling dish to the public is our banh mi sandwiches. We're fairly famous for it. I think we won Best in the Fest for that one last year against all the other banh mi makers. We make a smoked pulled pork banh mi with a homemade chicken liver pate, pickled vegetables on Leidenheimer bread, and people can't get enough of it. We run out of it every year.
The banh mi is tremendous. This is Owen's baby, and he does a great job with it.
Well, I have something for you this year, Owen. We have a young man who works here at the law firm. He's an incredible team member. His name's Johnson, and he grew up in the community near Dong Phuong, and so I consider him to be like the banh mi expert. So I'm going to make sure he's out there this year, and I'm going to get his feedback on the banh mi and compare it to Dong Phuong.
I would love it. We competed against 3 different Vietnamese chefs last year who have brick and mortar restaurants, and we beat them all. It was judged by an independent group on another team. We pride ourselves on the banh mi. It's I've done a lot of research, and I took every part of what I liked and tried to synthesize it into one, and hopefully everyone else likes it as much as we do.
I love it. Does the team have, and you may not know this, but I'm assuming maybe there is like a favorite category that Swine Krewe likes to compete in? Is that the right question to ask?
Not really. I'm a little partial to the whole hog because I think that's the hardest category.
Right.
And that's when I was brought on 10 years ago, that's what I was brought on to do because I had some experience doing it. But I always admire the pork puree category because of the creativity involved. It's wild what people come up with, and it's really admirable how people's minds work when it comes to making something delicious out of pork. I mean, things you would never think of.
Tell us a little bit, and it's about the organization of the team and how long it takes planning wise to get ready for the event.
So I took the team over 3 years ago, and I consider myself pretty good with organization and logistics and things like that. And I'm a decent cook, but I'm nowhere near the level of the cooks on our team. And so when I took over, I called up Owen and I said, look, here's how this is going to work. You're going to handle the kitchen. You're going to coordinate everything to do with the kitchen. Send me your receipts. I trust you, but the kitchen's yours. Figure it out. I'll handle everything else. I'll handle the membership. I'll handle the build out on the front, getting the tents, getting the porta potties, everything else. And so that's how we kind of divide the work. And aside from us, Andrew Evans is our head competition chef. And so he's obviously heavily involved. How long does it take? So Andrew practices pretty much year round on his ribs and his butt. I mean, he's got a little warehouse in Kenner and with all of his smoke stuff because his wife won't let it in his driveway, and so he retires out there and goes and just cooks all day on weekends.
Yeah, we do competitions. A few of the cook team, we do Kansas City Barbecue Society competitions throughout the year just to kind of keep sharp, just to kind of put us up against some of the national barbecue teams that compete around the circuit. And, we do well. And it's just really a way to, it's like anything. You got to practice, you can't just walk in the front door the day of and be like, yeah, I'm ready to cook. It doesn't work like that. As I'm talking to you now, we've probably put in 20 hours of test kitchen already on dishes that we're going to roll out.
In the past, 3
Wow.
weeks?
The past 3 weeks, we put in probably 20 hours, easy.
Which is incredible because we're still a month out from the event, and so y'all are cooking year-round preparing for it. How many people are on the team? Is it about 60 or 65 members, and how involved are they in the off-season before the actual prep and the weeks coming up to the event?
Yeah, so we have about 60 team members, which makes us one of the larger teams out there. The involvement of the membership is pretty varied. There are some people that pay their dues and raise a couple bucks and come out to the festival. For those members, we ask them to serve out the window for a couple hours, and then there are others who are gung ho fundraisers. There's a guy on our team, Andy Delaporte, who raised $25,000 last year or something like that, and is on track for more than that this year. And then Owen's got his kitchen.
I saw him in the gym this morning, and I think he's ahead of schedule from last year.
Yeah, he's moving. He actually won. So Hogs has a weekly award for the person on the team that raises the most money, and he won the award last week raising like $9,000 or something like that, which is just a tremendous amount of money. And that's only his online donations. He has other sponsorships. In fact, I think he brought you guys on board as well. So
he did. Yeah,
that doesn't even account for everything he's doing behind the scenes for sponsorships.
Incredible. So, if you could please maybe, I know you have both been involved in planning for Swine Krewe for a while now. Tell us a couple of lessons y'all have learned over the years in prepping for an event of this organizational nature, meaning it just takes a lot of preparatory work to really execute this the way that y'all do. What are some of the lessons you learned over the years you try to improve both the team's performance in cooking and also the fundraising?
For me, at least, Owen will have his own lessons from the kitchen. For me, it's all about spreadsheets. I have a master spreadsheet. I have all of our members fill out a Google form, and that dumps into my spreadsheet. And without that spreadsheet that I've built out, I would be totally and absolutely lost in this whole thing. So that's the number one thing. The number two thing is persistence. All of our members have other lives. They have spouses, they have kids, they have weekend baseball, they have jobs, they have everything. So it takes a lot of persistence to stay on them and say, hey, I need you to fill out this form. I need you to sign up. Hey, pay your dues. Hey, here's a text message. I've already written it for you with your link on it. Send this out. So persistence is really key. And you send these emails out, and sometimes you get responses, and sometimes you don't. And you can't take it personally. You just got to realize that people have other lives. They're not sitting in front of their computer working on a spreadsheet all about Hogs for the Cause. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to food, I mean, really the lesson is there's no pride. the lesson is always, what can we do next? Like, where can we push the boundaries? Where can we do something interesting? Where can we do something that's going to raise money? Whether it's in direct sales or in, publicity, because we do the Fox 8 morning news the week before. Rob Krieger comes out from Fox 8 and does the Friday of Hogs with us every year with Olivia. And really, it's just a matter of trying to be as creative as possible in a way that both is delicious, interesting, and that never loses sight of the goal, right? We're trying to raise money for kids. So the way we do that is to make delicious food that's unique, it's interesting, and people will buy it. And when they buy it, that money goes to kids. So that's really always the goal. It's a lovely collaboration with all these minds who are of a similar intent and a similar purpose, right? We all love the delicious stuff and we love to make it, but we're doing it for a very particular reason. And this is, as long as we keep that in mind and be as creative as possible with no pride and ownership, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I love it. And I think yours, Owen, is just so much more complicated for you, right? Because the kitchen is like, I don't know how to explain this to people listening to this or like watching online. It is a seriously, it's not just a simple operation of somebody cooking a pig back there. I mean,
oh no, it's it takes a long time to prep all this stuff. It takes a long time to organize it. By the time
it's impressive.
By the time Hogs rolls out, we will have a solid 40 hours of kitchen prep. Just test kitchen prep. And then the week of, we will probably put in another 50 hours of pre-prep to get ready to serve that weekend, both Friday for our sponsors dinner, which is an entirely different menu than we serve to the public, and then Saturday for all the things that we serve to the public for sale. Plus, there's the competition side of it and all the competition meets and all of those things that go on. And so we have to take you take how long each item takes and you have to back it up onto a spreadsheet a la Robert, and then you have to start the clock on each item as it needs to be done at a certain time. So you take all the competition meets, then you take all of the things that we do for our sponsorship dinner, which is fairly lavish, and all in all, it takes a good long while, but it's a labor of love. It's my favorite weekend of the year. I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, I'm not going to forget to say this. I'm not even lying. I mean, I think the most fun night I had the entire year of 2023, and that was all vacations, everything that I did fun last year, was the Friday night of Hogs for the Cause. And I'm not just saying that because we're shooting the show. I've made a comment about that to a couple of people the other day. I was looking forward to the event coming up next month. So let's talk about this year. How many teams are involved, do y'all know, this year? And give us the dates, please, of the event so our listeners will know.
Yeah, there are 95 teams involved in Hogs for the Cause, which makes the grand champion a highly coveted and highly difficult spot to get to. So 95 teams. The weekend is April 5th and 6th, so it is the weekend after Easter. And it's out at the UNO Festival Grounds right behind the arena.
And tell our listeners, if you could, a little bit about, like, how do they find... First, let's talk about the event itself. Like, if they want to get tickets to the event or find information about the event online, where do they go for that? And then I'd like to know more information about where they can find information on Swine Krewe online. And if you know generally, I don't know if they've leaked the location maps to y'all, where they can find you in the grounds and where the tent's going to be set up.
Sure. We have a website. It's swinekrewe.org, Krewe. On there, we have links where you can donate to Hogs and give us credit, give Swine Krewe credit. There's also a link there to buy tickets, and then there's a link to our social media profiles also. So anything they would need to do is on swinekrewe.org, and they can help us out. And we know when they go to buy tickets, once you get to the checkout section of it, there's a little drop-down menu, and it says, do you want to give a team a credit? And I would suggest that they give Swine Krewe some credit here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to suggest it too.
So we have a draft in January to pick our spots on the festival grounds. They're based on fundraising totals. I think we were 10th last year overall. So we are at spot A9, which if you come in the main gate off of the Franklin Avenue parking lot, which is right behind the arena, you hang a right, and we are a couple doors down from the Phelps Dunbar music tent, their stage. We're just to the left of it, and it's hard to miss. Our sign is...
We have a new facade this year. We have a giant Swine Krewe sign. It is 4 feet tall by 18 feet wide. So it'll be 12 feet up in the air. It'll be hard to miss Swine Krewe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Come in the festival, take a right, look for Swine Krewe. It's a light blue facade. And, right next to our name will be the Scott Vicknair logo as well. So it's going to be hard to miss us on those grounds.
Yeah, I love that. So looking for the tent, look for Swine Krewe and Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. We're excited to be a sponsor of y'all team this year. And so once again in the show notes here, if you're listening, we're going to have swinekrewe.org linked where you can donate, get tickets, and see all their social links. And also, please make sure that you credit them with your donation. Can you give us, just before we wrap the show and I give a little bit more information on how they can give to y'all, update on where y'all are in your fundraising goal and the importance of everybody who's listening to this, watching these clips online, to donate through Swine Krewe so we can get that money to Hogs for the Cause? Sure.
So as of about an hour ago, our online fundraising platform showed we raised about $16,000, and that's just from your regular donor, friends and family, people that have our link, that have our Rally Bound page, which you can get to through that website. And then in addition to that, I think we have total sponsorships around $15,000 at this point, probably a little higher. I got a couple calls earlier today. So we're on track. We're 4 weeks out from the event. We're on track. I think we're going to surpass our $60,000 from last year. So we're excited. It's coming up. It's coming up quick.
Incredible. Well, any last things that you wanted to share with the people listening to this about Hogs for the Cause, or any closing comments? I just kind of wanted to leave it to you, Owen and Robert, before we wrap the show. I know it's an important event to both of y'all, and how much prep time that y'all put into it, how much work. By the way, this is all volunteer. Everybody in y'all team has personal and professional lives elsewise. It's amazing how much work and money y'all raise for such an incredible cause. But any last comments you want to leave our listeners and people who are thinking about coming out to the event this year with?
Yeah, I would say, aside from being one of the most enjoyable festivals that New Orleans has to offer, it is the festival that I think has the highest purpose. It's rare that you get to go have a couple of beers, eat a bunch of barbecue, and know that every dollar you spend goes to families and children in need. There is nothing taken off the top. We spend all our own money for this, and it is a labor of love. A lot of these, a lot of other festivals in the city have their own, profit margins and whatnot. I think Hogs has a total of 3 or 4 paid positions, maybe a couple more, not much else. So there's really very little overhead. This is a way that you can have a great weekend and directly help sick children. And I don't know of many other festival events that offer that kind of benefit and that kind of purpose at the same time. It's a great weekend, and you can feel really good about yourself for spending your money in a way that's beneficial to families. And at the same time, you'll have the best weekend of the year.
Incredibly well said.
David, I just want to say, thank you to you and to your partner for being willing to be our grand champion sponsor this year.
100%.
It helps, and just know that your money's going to the right place. This money's going to help families.
Well, I'm going to just say, appreciate you saying thank you, but I'm really just humbled that we're lucky enough to be in a position to help. And so I'm really just honored to be the sponsor of y'all team this year and to be developing a relationship with y'all so that we're hopefully the sponsor, y'all primary sponsor for many years, because I've just already seen firsthand the difference that y'all are making in the organization and know what the fundraising effort as a whole is doing for an incredibly worthy cause. Don't think I could have said it better than you, Owen, what you just said. So everybody who's listening, please, first weekend in April, like I said earlier, it wasn't puffery. It was literally the funnest night I had last year. It is an incredible festival, and I feel like as New Orleanians, we have all these great festivals, and somehow they get like unwieldy. I hate to say this, but French Quarter Fest has gotten so big that it used to be my favorite festival. I feel like Hogs is still, it's an incredible festival that is not so overbearing in size, but it's really a great large event with incredible live music that is just such a good time with great food. I mean, I just cannot say enough things about the event. So I hope if you're listening, you head out there in the first weekend in April, and also visit swinekrewe.org. Please check Swine Krewe out so you can donate and get tickets for the event. And if you're out of the event, they're going to be at location A9. Once again, Swine Krewe is at location A9. Owen and Robert, thank you both for being with us. We're wishing you luck in all the prep over the next month. And as we clip this out, we're excited to see how y'all do on fundraising throughout the event in the first weekend in April. It's been a pleasure talking to y'all about such an incredible cause today.
Likewise. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, David, thanks for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for listening. This has been an incredible episode of the Overrule Podcast brought to you by the Scott Vicknair Law Firm. Please check out Hogs for the Cause first weekend in April out at the Fairground, and check out Swine Krewe, swinekrewe.org. Please donate and get tickets through their website.
Scott Vicknair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.